no matter the location. From O-A-K-L-A to LV, I'm a Raider.
What's going on from Napoleon Kaufman? Hey, Mitch, why not ask Carr to restructure? Honestly, I don't really think you should ask Carr to restructure because his contract isn't really in need of restructuring. I mean, you're paying a quarterback $21.5 million this year. That's actually very, very favorable for a lot of NFL teams. And the reason why Carr probably would be unlikely to restructure is because next season, if the Raiders want to move on from him, it's only $2.5 million. Now, sure, you could be like, hey, we'll pay you a lot less this year than we're ready to keep you around next year. But honestly, I don't know if the Raiders want to do that because if he doesn't play well this year, then it's easier to cut ties with him next season. So as much as I would like, I think you're asking me around Jadeveon Clowney, I don't think the Raiders ultimately go and do that. Let's go to the next question here on the Raiders Report. Make sure you guys are using hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat. Demetrio Gordo. If DC struggles, do you think Chucky benches DC and starts Marcus Mariota? If they both struggle, would you start Nathan Peterman? No. Not starting Nathan Peterman whatsoever. So if Carr and Mariota both struggle, I don't think you ever go to Peterman because that's not what you're paying Carr and Mariota to do. And I think even if a struggling Carr, even with a struggling Mariota, they're still a lot better than Nathan Peterman. Like, let's just get that out of the way. If Carr does struggle, though, yes, I think one of the reasons why the Raiders went out and got Mariota was simply because, well, you're hoping that he can live up to it, right? Because he can make up the $37.5 million, and as long as he can just be decent, he's going to play. However, if you're asking me right now, the way that Carr gets benched is not so much on Carr, it's if this team struggles, because by the time Week 6 comes around, if we're 0-5, if we're 1-4, if it's 2-3 and it's really ugly, then you move on. But, I mean, we'll see. I think DC, though, can get it done. Let's go to the next question here. What do we got? From Dale Webb Jr., would you trade for OBJ? Honestly, I wouldn't. And the reason why I'm not trading for OBJ is because you have to give up a lot. Do I think he'd be a good fit in the offense? Sure, I do think so. But I do have confidence in our receivers that we have now, and I think the Browns would want way too much for OBJ, a player who has battled some injuries and honestly has been a diva. And I'm good on the whole divas from at the wide receiver position. Let's go to a super chat from Kenny. What's up, man? My buddy Mitch, love the show. Why not look at Emerson Griffen? Okay, that's Everson Griffin's twin evil brother. Instead of Clowney, he's much cheaper and not injury prone. So, Kenny, I'm glad you asked the question. And we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier on live, and I think the Raiders are interested in Clowney more from what his ability also to do in the run game. And I think Gruden really likes Clowney. And a lot of times when Gruden falls in love with a guy, he really, really falls in love with him. And I don't want you to look at just the sack numbers because, yes, I understand he's never had a 10-plus sack season. But in terms of value, I do think that Everson Griffen is a better bang for your buck than a player like Clowney. Clowney, to me, does scare me a little bit. But the reason why I would have a little bit of confidence in Clowney is because he is going to sign a one-year deal. I think almost no matter where he goes, he signs a one-year prove-it deal. So if Clowney wants to make a lot more money next year, you're going to get the best out of him. He's going to, I think, then play through injuries. He's going to try to play his best on every snap. So if we can get a Clowney that's playing all the time, that's a very, very good player. So why for yes and for no? Are you subscribed to the show? So we are doing an extra cut because y'all wanted an extra cut, and that's what we're all about here, trying to give y'all what you want. So Clifton Tibbett says no. So Clifton, hit the sub button. We got My Opinion says yes. Jacob T, I know you're subscribed. Noah Marietta. So why for yes and for no? If you are subscribed, hey, continue to grow the show here. Spread the love. Hit that share button. Tell your friends about the Raiders Report. If you're not subbed, hit the subscribe button. And remember that we go live every Tuesday and every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Set a reminder that we can get your questions here on the show. Cool? All right, let's get back into some of these Q&A questions. Make sure that you're using hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat to jump the line, because right now we got 1,439 people watching live on our show, and there's a lot of questions coming in. What's up, Mitch? Can I get a shout-out? What up, Juice Head? Let's go to the next question. That Pringles guy, big Pringles fan, with some veteran wide receivers wanting to come back into the league, which would you want the most to come to the Raiders? Not Antonio Brown. I would say, honestly, some of you might be saying Michael Crabtree. I think Michael Crabtree at this point is a little bit washed up. Honestly, if you're telling me right now with the new CBA rules, I'd actually probably lean to a guy like Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon would be an interesting fit for me. He'd be a pretty big red zone dude. I don't really want Martavis Bryant. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go Josh Gordon. Let's go to the next question here on the show. And make sure you're using hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat. Appreciate it from that Pringles guy. Let's go to Raider Joker. How do you feel about the league wanted to cover up the first? Wait. How do you feel about the league wanted to cover up the first 6 rows? So what he's talking about here is the NFL asked Mark Davis, "Hey, would you be willing to cover the first? I believe it was 6 to 8 rows with advertisement." Mark Davis said, "No, we're not going to use those rows for advertisements. We want Raider Nation to be there." What does that tell me? I think of the biggest fear for when we went from Oakland to Vegas was we were going to put money first. And not that money's not important, but I also think having that home field advantage, right? I mean, it's never going to be like the black hole. That's a fact. We're never going to have the home field advantage that we had at the Coliseum. But I do like the fact that Mark Davis is trying to put the fans first, and the fact that he's trying to get those guys in the first 6 to 8 rows, that means a lot. So I do think it's pretty cool because a lot of the other owners said, no, we want the advertisement, we want the money. But if you do want to end up sitting in one of those first 6 rows, hey, all you got to do is do your part. And I think the easiest way that every single person alive right now can do their part is by staying safe. So use hand sanitizer, wash your hands. Also, you need to wear a face mask. So go to chatsports.com/RaidersMask. Those masks that you see on screen, they ship in 2 business days, okay? 2 business days. I've seen a lot of other companies trying to get them out to you in a month, 2 months. No. If you go to that link right now, it ships in 2 business days. So for $24.99, you can do your part and rep your team. I was at the airport this past weekend, and I was actually amazed on the amount of people that didn't have a face mask. So do your part, wear a mask, and, yeah, why not wear your favorite team? So go ahead, comments, and the description. Let's go back into some of these questions. Blake, what's up, my man? How much juice do you think Richie Incognito have left in the tank? He's in his mid-30s. He's 36 years old. After all, and who do you think will be an eventual replacement? I mean, from what I've seen, Richie Incognito had a great year last year, and he still seems like he's got a lot of life in him. And I think one of the things that gives Richie Incognito a life is just by beating the shit out of other people. And he's still very good at it. He was very good in the run game, very good in the passing game as well. And even though he's at 36 years old, even though he came out of retirement, I mean, the Raiders gave him 2 years. So until I see Richie start to decline, it's really hard to predict what happens 2 years in the future. I mean, imagine in 2018 if I would have told you that there'd be no MLB, no NBA, and potentially no NFL. Y'all would have said I was crazy. It's hard to predict what happens in 2 years. Heck, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in 2020. Let's go to Daniel. What's up, man? What are the chances Edwards starts for us? I'm going to give it only one Chucky head, so I understand that the Raiders really like Bryan Edwards. John Gruden apparently had him as a round 1 pick. That I don't quite believe. He is the most productive receiver ever to come out of South Carolina. Top 3 in terms of touchdowns, number 1 in receptions and receiving yards. And I do think that's impressive considering the quarterback South Carolina's had and considering the fact that he's played in the SEC. But it's going to be Tyrell Williams. If Tyrell gets banged up, then you could maybe see them go to Edwards. But if our offense is working the way it is and everyone's healthy, I don't really think we see Bryan Edwards starting many games this year. Let's go to the next question here on the Raiders Report. Ardo, with a lot of a last name, get a picture. Let's trade for Chris Jones or sign him next year. I mean, if you're going to trade for Chris Jones, you have to give up, like, an arm and a leg. And the reason why I say that is, like, whatever the trade reports are right now around Chris Jones, add an extra pick. Because there's no way the Chiefs are going to trade Chris Jones to somebody in their division. Like, there's just no way. Now, if you want to sign him next season, honestly, you guys might get mad at me for saying this. If he hits free agency next year, I think the team that he's most likely to go to is the Denver Broncos. So that's probably not what y'all wanted to hear. But do I think he'd be a great fit for our defense? As I almost knock over my water. Yes, absolutely. Chris Jones is the premier player. And if you actually asked me Chris Jones or Jadeveon Clowney, I would say Chris Jones. Let's go to the next question here on the show. Keith Wright, how many receptions and touchdowns does Jason Witten get this season? So Witten's coming off of like 60 catches last year. And I want to say, how many touchdowns? Three touchdowns, I believe, Jason Witten had last season. I would say this year he's probably going to be around 40 catches. And maybe let's try to get 4 touchdowns out of him. He's going to be on the field to block. And sure, once in a while, he might be picking up that first down. But I think we see a lot of blocking out of Witten. And it actually wouldn't surprise me if he gets less than that. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't want him to take away catches from Foster. Because at this point in their career, Foster Moreau is a much, much better pass catcher. In terms of blocking, though, I'd still probably say Witten's a better pass blocker, run blocker, than Foster Moreau. Next question. What do we got? Use hashtag Raiders. Would you bring back Jordy Nelson? No, I would not bring back Jordy Nelson. And he's old. He wasn't the best fit for us. And where are you going to play him? Like, he's not going to be a slot receiver. He's not better than Tyrell, and he's not better than Henry Ruggs. He's definitely not better also than Bryan Edwards. So, no, I'm not going to bring back Jordy Nelson. So, if you haven't gotten your question answered yet, you can super chat because we're only going to answer a few more, or you can wait in line and just use hashtag Raiders. I believe Amik will be a really good nickel and better towards the cap than Joyner. Well, he's definitely better than the cap than Joyner because Joyner's making a lot more money than he is. But the Raiders are going to try to get the most out of Joyner. Obviously, it's why you paid for him. But if he doesn't work out, yes, I have a lot of confidence in Robertson, who had 14 interceptions in college and a lot of pass breakups as well. I believe 34 in 3 seasons. He's a little bit undersized, but, I mean, in my opinion, he was the best steal that we had in this year's draft, and there's a lot of people out there that think that he was the best steal in the entire NFL draft. So maybe we can get another 4th-round steal. I'd be totally okay with it. So if you haven't gotten the Raiders face mask yet, $24.99. It's at the link below. Let's go to Arlie0308. Are you hearing anything? Yes, I can hear something. About fans not being able to go to Raider games. Obviously, we've heard about it, but it does seem like it's going to be up to owner's discretion. So if Mark Davis says, hey, we want fans at the games, it sounds like there's going to be fans at the game. Obviously, if they cancel games, then sure, it's not going to happen. For me, either way, I'm either going to be doing a watch party or I'm going to be at games, maybe even both. So for me personally, I'm going to be doing okay either way. And if you guys can't go to games, always remember that you can have a place here at the Raiders Report where you can watch them. Cool? So I am going to hit you with this deal one more time. By going to chatsports.com/RaidersMask, you can get these in 2 business days, only $24.99. I want to be able to go to games this year. I want to be able to do my part, and I want you all to do your part as well. And I think right now the easiest way to do that is just covering up your mouth, even if you don't want to wear one. Hey, if you want Raiders football, this is what we all need to do, okay? So go to chatsports.com/RaidersMask. It's in the comments. It's in the description. Hopefully y'all do your part. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this. I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.